Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Miracle of Motherhood. Today is an extra special day because we're not only celebrating our very first episode, but I'm also getting to do it with one of my very best friends of nearly 20 years. This mother is a mother of four who just graduated her youngest child through homeschooling. So let's get into it.
Welcome to the Miracle of Motherhood. Cherish every season of the journey. With your host, Carrie Ferris. Please subscribe to join our community.
Thank you for being here. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, Kathy?
Sure. My name is Kathy and I am 51. I'm a homemaker. I became a mom in 1997. I have four daughters, two that I birthed and two that I got whenever we got married.
Okay.
And I was 23 years old whenever I first got pregnant. When I gave birth, I was 22 whenever I got pregnant. So 23 when
Okay.
I gave birth to my first child.
So, you've been a mom for how many years?
We've been married for 28 years. So we dated, I guess you could count the years that we dated too. So I would have to say around 30.
Oh, wow. 30 years. And
Yeah.
your oldest child is
33 is the oldest, then 30, then 28, and then 18, almost 19.
everyone has their unique journey into motherhood. Can you tell us a little bit about the first time you felt like a mother?
That would be before I ever got pregnant because there were two babies already there. And we would do holiday shopping together for the kids and stuff like that. So that would be the first time that I felt like a mom.
Okay. And how long did you feel like a mom before you actually gave birth to your own child?
Being pregnant, like as
Yeah.
in being pregnant.
Yeah.
Um, so I'd have to say that it really got real when she was born, but I mean, I went through so much with that pregnancy. So it was a very difficult journey in the fact that I went through a lot of depression.
Mhm.
And so I battled with that. So I have to say that kind of joy started whenever she was actually born.
Okay. So back up just a little bit during your pregnancy. This is your first pregnancy,
Yep.
third child, right?
Yep.
Okay. So during that pregnancy, just walk us through a little bit of what was going on that led to that depression and stuff that you were dealing with.
Okay, so we were really big in our church and in our faith and everything. And I got pregnant before we got married. And that's where it all rounded up into. I
Yeah.
felt like a
Yep.
little giant failure. And that, how could I be walking what I'm supposed to walk if I'm pregnant before married? And I didn't ever want my daughter to know that I got pregnant before I got married. I was devastated when she figured out how to do the math. And she was like, "Oh, I figured that out a long time ago." It's like,
Yeah.
"Ugh."
Yeah.
But it took me a very long time to get through that. Even after she was born, I struggled greatly in that area.
So your faith seemed to have played a big part in not accepting yourself.
During that time. So during that time, and it's not for the reasons that one would think. When I was growing up, my mother taught me things that were really out there. And my mom, told me that everything was wrong. Everything that God was a God of rah, rah,
Mhm.
rah. And
Yeah.
it took me a long time to understand what grace was and to know that my failures did not mean, and it wasn't even a failure because I don't think that getting pregnant was not his design. But it took me a long time to come to that. And it took me a very, very long time to come out of those teachings that I had been taught that were skewed in certain ways. And even to this day, I battle with some of those things, even still.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of us deal with those types of mindsets that we grew up with,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
that everything is bad.
Yeah. Everything is bad. Nothing is good.
So, I feel like a lot of us understand that that's a hard thing to overcome, especially when
It
you're
is.
young. and
Mhm.
especially when you feel like you don't have support.
Yeah.
And that's one of the biggest reasons, I mean, for this channel, for other mothers to feel supported no matter what stage or journey
Right.
they're on. So, moving on. So, you've given birth twice,
Right.
which is
I have.
odd. Were either one of your births a birth story that you would like to share with us?
So way back then, I did not know that I had hypermobility Ehlers-Danlos syndrome.
Mhm.
And it really played a part in my delivery. My body would not go into labor at all with either one of my births. So I was 2 weeks overdue for the first one. And I was leaking amniotic fluid and I didn't even know. They literally sent me home to go get my husband and come straight back to the hospital. And so that was a very traumatic thing for me because I was like, I'm not ready. But she was delivered just fine. Everything was fine. There was no anything wrong with that or what have you. My second, I was 3 weeks overdue because I begged and begged and begged, please just break my water because my water would never break. And I said, please just break my water and let's see if I go into labor on my own. They broke my water and they waited as long as they could wait because they found out that her cord was wrapped around her neck. And so the plus side to that was that they gave me oxygen. And that's the way to go. That's the way to have a baby is to have
Yes.
oxygen on the whole time. That was what had happened with my two is that my body would not go into labor
Both times, huh?
both times. Yes. I was begging, please just break my water. Please just let me try. And they're like, nothing's happening.
Yeah, that is no
Baby's got to
fun.
come out.
Yeah, baby has to come out. So you were overdue with both of them?
Yes. 2 weeks with the first and 3 weeks with the second.
Oh, wow. That's
And I
rough.
thought I was going to be pregnant forever.
Forever. I felt that. So, how do you feel the role of motherhood has changed you and your perception of yourself in general?
Well, there's so many feelings. There's so many feelings. Sometimes you have them all at one time.
Mhm.
So there's grief, there's elation, there's proud, there's sad, there's body changes and things that go along with that. That, you're young and you're growing up with your kids. So,
Mhm.
you're going to make mistakes, and then how you feel about whether or not you did that the right way or you did it the wrong way, or what is the right way, or should I even consider that to be the wrong way because it's the way I'm doing it. Just so many things. I mean, I never expected there to be so many emotions played out in such a short span of time, but then also a long span of time.
Mhm.
So that would be my perception. My perception of myself was not great a lot of the time because I was very judgmental to myself, very hard on myself. And it has been a long time since I have had to figure that part of things out.
I understand. I know when I first got pregnant with my first one, there was a lot of body dysmorphia with
Yeah.
the changes that were
Yeah.
happening, so that can be very difficult, especially when you're young, and we grew up in a time where body image was everything, and I think it
Yeah.
still is.
I gained, they said, don't go over 200 pounds, is what the doctor told me. Don't go over 200 pounds. And
Oops.
I was like, if I go 200 pounds, we're going to have a problem. Well, let me just tell you, I was at 199. I reached
Mhm.
that 200, and the next week I was back at 199. Everything I did to stay below 200 pounds. And that little myth that they tell you about you'll lose the weight from breastfeeding, that was a
Nope.
lie
N
because I
not
did not.
everybody loses the weight with
I
breastfeeding, that's
lost
for sure.
13 pounds when I had her, and I gained 8 of it back before I ever left the hospital. I dealt with the weight changes at that point and how hard it was to get the weight off. I
Yeah.
never got the weight off until, I mean, I'm like I said, I'm 51 years old and I'm still battling that weight loss issue.
Yep, and many moms deal with that.
Yeah,
So,
agreed.
alrighty. At what stage do you feel is the hardest to parent through, and why?
I would have to say the preteen teen years. because and especially in today's world where there's so much social media, there's so much screens all the time, everything in your face all the time, that middle school age where they're introduced into things that you may not introduce them to, like cutting, suicide ideation. Just the middle school kids can be mean. Every girl is going through her own changes and they're trying to be liked, and they're trying, it's about weight for them and different things. And so if you're a little bit bigger than what they are, sometimes they can say things that are absolutely just trash,
Yep.
and it can mess with your kids' heads. And so I dealt a lot with that. Having four girls, my oldest, I'd have to say, I think was probably the strongest, but in her adult life, she told me she struggled too. So, I mean, there were just so many things that I never thought that I would go through as a parent.
I completely agree. Some of my daughters are on the opposite end where they are tiny and they have some of the same self-deprecating
Right,
thoughts because, why can't I have curves? Why can't I?
right,
The same thing goes both ways. Even the girls who seem to have the perfect figure
right.
still are battling those internal voices that they're
Yeah,
not good enough, that they don't look
right.
like the models or they don't look like what they see on social media. I remember as a teen, and I'm sure you do too, having those feelings.
Oh,
It
yeah.
it was just a lot less in our face back then because we didn't have social media.
Even as a teenager, I tried to commit suicide several times. I just was not successful, which I'm thankful for.
I'm very thankful for. Very thankful for. So, yes, those teenage years are full of so many emotions, and if you're not really close to your children, and even some
Even when you
parents
are.
that are very close to their children, there's still things that their kids are not comfortable talking to them about,
Yeah,
even when, we tell them all the time that they can talk to us about anything. There's
right.
going to be things that they're just not willing to open up to us about. So,
Yeah,
being being very aware of the differences in our children's attitudes and stuff.
I agree.
Awesome. So, we've already kind of touched on that, but what is one of the saddest moments that you've had to live through as a mother?
So I would say almost losing my last to a suicide attempt. She attempted many times, but there was one time where it was really could have happened. And I experienced grief as in if I had lost her. And that was probably the saddest moments that I'd had. It was a very difficult time for her, for us, just for all of us that were involved and touched by things. I would never want to go through that again.
I don't think anybody would wanna go through that,
Yeah.
but you're a very strong mama.
Ha.
You are.
That's debatable at times, but thank you.
I've seen you walk this path, and you are a very strong mom.
Well, thank
You
you. I
are.
appreciate that.
Mm. So, let's
I
lighten
think
things
you're
up just
biased.
I may be just a little bit. I would like to pause here for just a moment and thank you for joining us today at the Miracle of Motherhood, helping moms tell their stories and building a community to help us not feel alone. As you may have guessed, this channel is not currently sponsored, but there is a few things that you can do to help support us in our work in helping mothers everywhere. The first thing you can do, of course, is to subscribe to this channel so you're notified every time that a new interview with a mom is uploaded. Another thing that you can do is to like, share, and of course, comment and let us know how we are doing. Another way that you can help support this channel is to check out the links in our description below. Some of these links are to our guest businesses or websites, and some of them just go to help support this channel. Either way, you are helping us move forward in our mission to help moms be moms. Now, back to the miracle of motherhood. Let's lighten things up just a little bit, okay?
Okay.
What do you feel like is one of the funniest moments of your motherhood or one of those funny stories about your children when they were growing up?
So we, me and my four girls, we had all four girls at this time. We were all in the car and we're coming home from the store, and there's this little black blob in the middle of the road, and the car in front of us just kind of split it with the tires. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a cat. And it was this tiny, tiny little kitten. It's my oldest jumps out, grabs the cat, brings it back in, and we're like, oh my gosh, it's so tiny. It was like just a couple of weeks old.
It's not
And
who I'm thinking it is it?
we're not going to be able to keep him. We need to go find out if it's a boy or a girl and if it's okay. So we go up to PetSmart. We have them check him out, and it's a boy. And we're like, okay. And then we call dad and we beg, 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 beg. And he's like, okay, fine. And so then we all got to name him. And his name
To
is
this
very
day.
long. And it is his name to this day. Is even at the vet's office, they're like, okay, we have to shorten that. But it's Little Man Whiskers Cutie Pie. No, Sir Levi Lancelot, Little Man Whiskers Cutie Pie. And his name is called, we call him Little Man because I won. And he's my cat. So
Oh, wow.
that was one of the funny stories that I had from whenever the girls were. We were all together, and it was everybody got to name him. And the smallest one wanted to name him Cutie Pie, and another one wanted to name him Sir Levi Lancelot because we were watching movies at the time, and it just how everybody played it off and everything. So it was really good. It was a great story.
That's awesome. That's hilarious, and I know Little Man personally, and
Yeah, he's a
that's
mean boy.
hilarious. All
He's mean
right.
to everybody but me.
Yeah, he's mean to me, he doesn't like me. So, what do you feel you've learned from your own mother or mother figure about motherhood?
This is a loaded question, and
Yes, it
I
is.
don't want to speak ill of the dead. So I will say to be thankful for what my girls do and that they are, no matter what that is.
Mhm.
I would have to say that no judgment and to truly love them unconditionally, not to not put conditions on what it is that I expect of them or anything, because I was not raised that way and I would never want my children to feel the way that I do.
I completely agree, and that is an amazing piece of advice coming from an amazing mother. And what is something that you would share with your younger self about motherhood that you wish you had have known a little bit sooner?
I would have to say to love myself no matter what. That it's important for me to take care of me, just as important it is to take care of the kids,
Yes,
and to raise them and to be that. Don't put myself in a position to where I've done so much for everybody else that I can't focus on myself, because self love is a huge thing and it's a very hard thing to learn, especially going through motherhood.
that is awesome, and I agree 100%. Well, do you have anything else to add? Any advice for other moms?
Remember that advice is just that. You can leave it or you can take it. It's your choice. It's not
It
your
is.
mom's children to raise, it's yours. It's your child to make a mistake with, it's your child to celebrate a triumph with. If mom or dad or granny or whomever wants to say that you need to be doing this or you need to be doing that, essentially what I would say is that thank you for that piece of advice. I'll think on that. But don't be upset if I don't take it, because it's my turn. It's my
Mhm.
turn to make my own mistakes. It's my turn to raise my children the way I see fit raising my children. And to just know that, you know, be kind to yourself. Like I said before, most of us are growing up as we're having our kids. And so it's hard for us to know all the answers. And a lot of times you're not going to know any of the answers until you've already walked it or lived it. So you can look back, and hindsight is always 2020. Be good to yourself. Your body's going to change. Just be okay with it and embrace grace,
Absolutely. Yes,
because
embrace grace.
not just for yourself, but for you and for your littles, because
Yeah,
they're just little tiny humans that are just learning as they go, and they've got us to teach them. So We teach them what we know, and if we've made a mistake, then we correct that. We don't blame them for that.
That is so
And that's
amazing.
what I got for you.
Thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your stories with us. We want to give you a big round of applause. Yay! Thank you so, and we will hopefully hear from you again sometime. Thank you so
Absolutely,
much for
anytime.
all of your advice, and thank you for being on the Miracle of Motherhood.
Yay, thank
Yay!
you.
Bye.
All right.
Please like, share, and comment. Subscribe for more Miracle of Motherhood stories.